Hi, it's Sharon from Grace's neighbor Sharon. I hope you enjoy the video. Hi, I'd like to take a minute to talk to you about FUNCILS chalk markers. Like the dot markers in my previous video, they are child safe, non-toxic, acid-free, and quick dry. Like the dot markers, they have a quick start guide on the back and a list of the colors inside the box. So to start them up, you shake them for about 30 seconds in the up and down, and then you press the tip to release the pressure, and then you press it down like you're going to write, only just keep pressing it up and down until the nib fills with the color, and there you have it. Now, if you touch it right away or smush it right away, it will kind of blur up, but they just need a little while to dry. Like the dot markers, I think the best application is on these flat wood blanks. Here I'm coloring the back of one of my tiny little rabbits that had the tail on the back, and that came out really good. So then I tried this broken fall word, and the chalk markers came out nice and bright compared to the dot markers. The dot markers had a more subtle pink here. I'm going to show you. The U is the dot markers, the A is a chalk marker, the H is a chalk marker, the E is a chalk marker. So you can see how nice and bright those are, and then the U is kind of faded. So just gives you an idea of how you can play around with the colors. Next, I tried writing on this paint stick. One side had Mod Podge and one side was just plain, and it didn't seem to matter in this instance. So I think maybe because the wood is like thick or dense, writing on paper is also a good application. My kitty wanted to see what I was doing. He never jumps on the desk, so I had to keep it in. I finished writing and then gave him a little pet and sent him on his way. So I went back to the bunny just to see if I could do the colors near each other without them blurring, and it came out really good. Look at how nice and bright the colors are, and they're not bleeding very much. But I would suggest you try it out on like an inconspicuous part or the back. Thumbs up for FUNCILS, and I'd appreciate you watching the video to see how I use them in my crafting. This video is part of a playlist that is near and dear to my heart. More about that after the first project. Project number 1. Eggs in a bucket. I'm using these green, blue, and pink twine wrapped eggs, along with some saved florals that I pulled out of other projects. And then I've had these bunny ear headbands for a while, so I'm going to use them. This is all to create a little bouquet. I'm putting some of these window clings on the bucket with the jot glue stick, and then I have the eggs that I got at an antique store last year. Not sure why an antique store was selling eggs, but there you have it. So here's the little bucket. I believe it's white tin or metal, and I'm using this styrofoam because that's the one I saw when I was looking for it. It's just as easy to work with as the other styrofoam. It's just, a little bit different of density. But I put some of those naturally colored shreds to hold the styrofoam in the bucket, and then I took out 2 egg picks from each package, so 2 blue, 2 pink, 2 green, and then I did the same colors from the antique store bag, 2 green, 2 blue, and 2 pink. So I'm choosing some nice colorful chalk markers here, And we're going to decorate the colored eggs with these markers. I had no idea if this would turn out, but it did. Look at how nice and bright that white is. I just did like squiggly lines and circles and dots and dashes. Here I am shaking the yellow to get it started, pressing down on the nib and then pushing up and down a bunch of times until the color got into the nib. And then right away I can use it to decorate the egg. And I did mostly just the tops of the egg because you're not going to see the bottoms. And there, aren't they? Didn't they come out pretty? And I did handle them a little bit, so some of the lines and dots I had to redo. But I like it a little faded in areas, kind of like with chalk couture with the chalk paste, so I wasn't mad. Now what I should have done is set them in like a little egg carton to like fully dry, but I just kind of left them, and I was going to use Mod Podge on them and it turned out awful, so I used that Krylon spray you saw there. And now the florals are a little bit too short for how I wanted them to be in the bucket, so I took a skewer and some floral tape and I wrapped the whole stem of the floral and then all the way down the skewer to give them a longer stem. And I did that for almost all of them. And I lost the footage of me actually creating the bucket and putting those window clings on there, but I just used the jot glue stick and rubbed it with a paper towel. Now I'm finishing up the arrangement with the bunny ears. I cut them off the band, put some glue on a skewer, and shoved the skewer into the bunny ear. And then I fastened some sheer ribbon around it. And then I decided to create a little shoelace bow out of some bigger twine, just for a little bit of embellishment. And there you have it. You can see the window cling on the bucket, and you can see all the color. Better look at the final reveal. Okay, so this video is part of the Easter DIY open playlist. It's hosted on the first of the month every month by Amanda from 6 Kids and a Glue Gun, as well as Chantel from Crafty Hints, and then Brenda from Rustic and Lace DIY. This first of the month playlist is near and dear to my heart because it was the first video I ever put out that was part of this playlist back in May of last year. So channel links and link to the playlist will be in my description box below. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the rest of the video. Project number 2. Farm fresh eggs in a basket. I'm using some chalk couture to spell the word farm fresh. Also Dollar Tree eggs from last year, some chalk couture paste, and a piece of a basket that I purchased many years ago. So this is how I chose to paint my eggs to dull down the color. You could also put them in a carton and paint the top, let it dry, paint the bottom, or you could even make a hole in the bottom with a glue gun nozzle and then put them on a skewer and paint them like that. But this worked. It was a little messy, but the tape held it down enough that I didn't get my fingerprints all over them. So I started drying them, and then I thought, I can do other things while they dry, so let's just give them some time. And so I picked up the whole piece of parchment paper and laid it aside. Now I'm going to trim out the chalk couture. Oh, there's Kitty again. This is the second time. He never does that. I guess he really wanted Mama's attention. But yes, these chalk couture stencils are made to be trimmed, and they trim easily. And now I'm preparing the little garden sign. I'm fixing up the back of it. I got the hanging ribbon off, and I was really hoping this was going to go off without a hitch. And at first I wasn't too sure, but then It came off with very little adhesive on the back. I give it a quick little sand and it was ready for some paint. I wanted a rustic coat, so I just made kind of watery concoction with some Chocateur white paste and a little bit of water. And then I proceeded to cover the back of the sign. And again, it's just what I call a rustic coat. So I used like a medium-sized paintbrush. And I gave it a few coats, and then I dried it with my heat dryer or my heat gun. Now I'm going to go over it with this wax, this white wax. I actually got it for painting garden statues, but it works well with Chocateur because you want that waxy background. And Chocateur sells its own clear paste, but I had the white paste, so I used that. First time using this transfer, so we do need to fuzz it. I just use a hand towel here, and I fuzz it twice. Then I place it. I took a little while to make sure it was in a good place, and then used some tape just to ensure it didn't move. And I mean, the word farm came out so perfect. I actually had to rough it up afterwards to match the word fresh that didn't come out so perfect. And that's just because I was sort of hodgepodging it, and this is one of the older stencils, you can't see through it, and so the letters weren't super straight like the word farm. But I did my best here, and I noticed that when you go over it a second time, you definitely don't get the full darkness that you did previous. So it definitely could have benefited from washing in between, but I was okay with it because I wanted it to be a rustic sign anyway. Now I picked up the eggs in the middle like that, you see, and I have like one finger and my thumb inside to hold it as I dab some white paint. Again, white paint made from the Chocateur white paste and a little bit of water. Now, I had one of those situations where the camera was off and it should be on, and on and it should be off. So I'm going to show you real quick what I did that didn't get recorded. And I have this big roll of chicken wire, and I just used my jewelry wire cutter, to trim off a piece of the chicken wire. And then I used a pair of jewelry pliers to bend it like that, so it made a little hook, and then I hooked that onto the frame of the basket. I folded it to get it to the size and shape of the roundness of the basket, and then I used my trimmers again to trim off the extra and bent everything into the basket. The eggs, I just kind of strategically placed them so you couldn't see parts that were scratched or weren't totally covered with white, and that came out really well. And then the sign, I actually chalked on some decoration at the top to make it look a little better. Final look at the final reveal. Project number 3. Carrot crate. I'm going to make this craft using these carrots. They're wrapped in twine from Dollar Tree. Farm Fresh Words from Dollar Tree. Little Bunny from Dollar Tree. A chalkboard plaque from Dollar Tree. Crate from Dollar Tree. And then my FUNCIL dot markers and chalk markers. Whew, that was a mouthful. Okay, so I'm actually going to start things off using the dot marker, and I introduced those to you in my previous video. So if you want to go back and see the introduction and how I used them in the beginning, it's the video right before this one, and it should be on the end screen of this video as well. So taking the dot marker and pouncing and then dragging the color across, pouncing, dragging, and it came out fantastic. I was so happy. So I went in on the Farm Fresh Words now, and I used the white chalk marker this time, And wow, I mean, it's just goes on so smooth. The color is so bright, vibrant, like a pure white. Super happy with how it came out. I did go over the letters a couple times just to make sure it wasn't going to fade after it dried. And I think that was a good idea because I think it did fade a wee bit. But set that aside to dry, and now I'm going to attach this chalkboard plaque to the crate. That's why I painted the crate black, to match this little plaque. And this has been in my stash. It was actually broken. I had to glue a piece of the black back on it. But I'm going to use some wood glue like you see there. And then I'll come in with some hot glue and attach the crate to the plaque. So I just want to take a minute to say welcome to my loyal subscribers, and thank you for clicking on my video. To you new viewers, I do this for you and I wouldn't be here without you, so thank you. I'm going to attach the Farm Fresh words on the front of the crate using just hot glue this time. Oh no, I did use wood glue on that. I use both. I usually use both. And now here we go. I was so excited. I never hand letter anything. So I was like, okay, I got this. Okay, I got this. You know, psyching myself up. I wasn't really happy with the word carrots, but I continued. And then I was like, wait a minute. I can wash this up. So I just sprayed some water on a piece of paper towel and it came off just like that. And it was like, oh wow, this is cool, because other markers, you know, just start soaking in, and this one was definitely washable. So I tried carrots again, this time making the letters a wee bit smaller so the S didn't look so scrunched at the end. And this time, it wasn't perfection, but this time I was happy with it. So I grabbed this little bunny, this fuzzy tail bunny, and I decided to color it a color that I hadn't used yet in all these projects, and that was purple. And I wanted to color it on the backside where the tail was, because I didn't want to have to bother with drawing a face or ears or anything like that. So I found this little stick, and I'm actually not sure if it's a popsicle stick or if it's something I saved, but I went ahead and glued the bunny on there so I can sort of like make it like it's popping out of the crate on the opposite, in the opposite direction that the carrots are. So y'all probably seen this a bajillion times, but I'm taking the little raffia ends off the carrot. There's a little hole that's left in styrofoam. I'm poking the greenery into that hole and then holding it for a bit. And also at the same time, there's some loose threads from the orange twine that was wrapped, and so I'm holding that into the hot glue as well. And I do that for all 4 carrots. And it's actually really fun to transform them. That's just some boxwood greenery. There it is. Better look at the final reveal.